Hey guys, welcome to Dominate Fishing. I'm Dan Meyer. Today, up here in northern Wisconsin, it is very cold. We're in the middle of summer and it's like 56 degrees out right now. The high is in the low 60s when just a couple days ago it was 86 outside. So today we're going to talk about what to do when you get one of these big cold fronts in summer, because it makes fishing really tough. Tomorrow, actually tonight, I have some friends coming up and they want to go fishing. So tomorrow morning I have to take them out fishing even though we're in one of these big cold fronts. When one of these big cold fronts, comes, I just take a couple days off, let it blow through, because the fishing gets really tough. But when you're coming up on vacation or you work all week and you only get to fish on the weekends and you have to go fishing when a cold front hits, I'm going to talk today about kind of what to do to catch some fish. So the first thing to know is during these cold fronts, fishing gets really tough. But you still can catch fish, it just becomes a lot harder. So what you're going to do is you're still going to fish pretty much the same spot. You're going to fish heavy cover, heavy weeds or brush piles. And you're going to have to fish a lot slower than you could when it's warm out. So a good technique is to use bobbers or slip bobbers. Just cast them out and let them sit there, or do a very, very slow retrieve back to the boat, because what these fish are going to want to do, first, they're not going to chase any baits. If a bait comes right past them, they might hit it. What they're going to want to do is they're just going to swim right up to that bait. If it's just right there, if that bait comes right next to them, they'll get right under it and they'll just look at it, because they're real lethargic. They don't want to bite on these because the pressure changes a lot, which messes with their lateral line. The water temp drops. They don't want to move much. So if that bait comes right past them, they'll get right up under it and look, and they'll just look at it. If it's tempting enough, they'll hit it. So we're going to fish this heavy cover. We're going to fish real slow. We're going to do a lot of pauses where that bait just sits there. A lot of times with these cold fronts, you get a lot of wind. The waves on the water are going to put more than enough action on that bait while it's just sitting there. So you don't have to put any action on it. Just let it sit there. Maybe a slow retrieve with pauses. Second, because these fish, they're just so lethargic. They're not feeding heavy. They just don't want to do much. You want to downsize and use real small baits. If a big bait comes by, they're probably just going to let it go. But if there's just this little bait, it's just kind of tempting, they might come up and hit it. So downsize, use smaller baits, and live bait is really going to be the key here. It's going to be way easier to catch live bait fish on live bait during these cold fronts than it will be on artificial. Not that you can't catch them on artificial, you're just really going to stack the odds in your favor if you're using live bait, and I'm talking crappie minnows. And this is one of those times where, the small crappie minnows, normally, I pull out a small crappie minnow, I'm like, shoot. But this time of year, those really small crappie minnows, those are going to be your friend. Throw them out there, just let them sit there. If you're going to use artificial, during cold fronts, marabou hair jigs work well, although a lot of times you want to tip those with some live bait, even if it might just be like a grub or a minnow. But marabou hair type grubs, they'll work, because those you can work real slow and that hair just kind of moves around. So you don't have to put any action on that bait, and it's still going to get just a little movement, which might trigger that strike. But small artificial baits will also be the key. Baits you can work real slow. Don't go out there throwing, micro crankbait or something. It's just not the time. You want just any bait you can really fish slow, because these fish are going to be real lethargic. So that's pretty much what you're going to have to do in a cold front. You want realistic expectations. They're not going to be jumping in the boat. You got to fish real slow and try to pull them out of heavy cover, heavy weeds or brush piles. So that's going to be the approach that I'm going to take tomorrow when I got to go out. It's going to be cold, windy, rainy. It's going to be tough. We're just going to get up on some of these weed beds and throw out bobbers and just get a bunch of bobbers out, and hopefully we can pick up a few fish. That's kind of what I do if I have to fish a cold front. So I hope this video helps you. If it does, hit the like button. Also, if this is your first time here, I'd love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do videos just like this to help you catch more and bigger fish. So like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time, hopefully on a nice better day. See ya.